some reading. And one of the people I've always admired is Daniel Berry. Daniel Berry. And I met his sister-in-law through John Deere. Amazing people. And he has a chapter in his book called The Face of Christ. And it's so coincidental that I picked up this book this week to read in light of this gospel. It's so coincidental. It's the Holy Spirit, of course. And here's what Daniel says. Some years ago, I stood on an ancient outpost of Western Ireland, off County Mayo. It was an island named Cather, or Saints Island. And preserved there are several quite remarkable relics, including a monastic ruin circumscribing an altar of stones. The tallest of the stones, well, it's not very tall, about 5 feet or so, but it stops one in his tracks, for it bears a curious emblem, different from all the rest, a small medallion, perhaps 5 inches in diameter, a human face amid all the symbols. The face of Christ. The first face of Christ, I was told, in Europe. We have in the Gospels no real physical description of Jesus. And we do know, and from Gospels like this today, that Jesus did in fact have a human face. And I don't mean those words just in terms of, say, visually. Jesus had a human face. He looked at the people around him in the world through the eyes of a human, which is why God sends Jesus to earth, to connect with humanity. And the words in the gospel that really strike out at me. Jesus says, "What do you want me to do for you?" Now you would expect the blind man to say, "Give me sight. Heal me." He doesn't. What he says, "Master, I want to see you." What powerful words. Master, I want to see you. And there's great symbolism, I think, in a lot of that. Because it leads me to think and to reflect on myself, of course. What blinds me? What blinds us? Even though I have sight, I still may be blind. And the message of Jesus has been oftentimes twisted around. And we hear words of, well, let me backtrack a bit. In the last debate, I listened to quite a bit of it, the presidential debate. Because let's face it, what happens in America impacts on Canada, impacts on the world, whether we like it or not. That's true. And a great amount of debate, while lacking in substance, was spent on armaments. We are going to reinforce our military. Now you can get into the politics, and both, by the way, both people talk about that, so it's not choosing one side or another. But you have a scenario where God is called upon, and yet in the scenario that's there, it's a twisting of God's message. Jesus' message is a message of peace. There's no question about that. That's not a debatable issue. It's a question of peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, right? And so I think that there's an example of blindness, not seeing the message. But if we go down to a personal level, what is is there out there that may blind us? And as we approach Advent, as we approach the madness of the Christmas season, we're blinded by materialism. We're blinded by buying things, getting stuff. So our vision is greatly impaired. And maybe, and I'm in this too. This is not a you, this is us, this is a we. Each of us perhaps should think of these words. Master, I want to see you. And as we get up to Christmas, how can we see Jesus in our lives as we approach Christmas? What will the face of Jesus be? And as you were walking with the disciples and hearing that blind man, who is this guy that you would be following? What does he represent in your life, in our lives? In our church community, the past 2 years, we've had what we call the Advent Conspiracy. And we have new people in our congregation since we last did the Advent Conspiracy. So I'll do a 25-cent version of it. The Advent Conspiracy is a conspiracy brought about by Christians like us who say, you know what, we are not involving ourselves in the madness and materialism of Christmas to the extent we have in the past. We are now going to look at a different approach. We are going to buy less and give more. Think of the words, buy less and give more. And then buying less and giving more, we will see the Master. We will see that human face of Jesus. When we do that, that's what the Advent Conspiracy is all about. It's a conspiracy against materialism. Maybe conspiracy is too harsh a word, but I like it, so we'll use conspiracy. And so, when we now have an opportunity to enter into Advent, let's all take a step back and sit down, as we did with the gospel, and imagine what, to each of us, let us imagine how this Christmas can I see the face of Jesus? What can I do this Christmas for my family, for my friends, to see the face of Jesus? So the challenge we have this morning is that as we approach the season of madness, the shopping season, sounds like almost a Darth Vader thing, like what's the music go on? The Star Wars? Way to go, Bill. Not just a math nerd, but yeah. Anyhow, you know. So that's the thing. We take all of that materialism. You know, in our prayers we talked before, take the problems you face, give them to God. So do the same in this case. Let's take our Christmas shopping anxiety. And it's stressful, isn't it? I see a bunch of heads nodding. Yes, of course it's stressful. Even if you're a guy like me and you go out the last few days before and say, I gotta buy the old lady something for Christmas, right? It's stressful. Then you gotta wrap it. And it's real clear when I wrap stuff. Oh, look, girls will say, Dad wrapped that. So take all that stuff, just package it up like a Christmas gift and say, here, God, here you go. You know what? This Christmas, I'm going to see your face. I'm going to see the face of Jesus. I'm going to buy less and give more. How much would I say that? Buy less and give more. And over the next while, we'll look at some examples of different gift giving, if you wish. Different things each one of us can do, and also that we can do as a community once again. In the past couple of years, we have been incredibly generous. We have been incredibly generous in looking at ways to bring Christmas to life to people who haven't got a hope of having anything near the Christmases that we become used to. And I'm not saying that because, we're bad people for having gone out and bought things for Christmas. We're not bad people for having done that. But what we're going to do now is like Bartimaeus did. We're saying to Jesus, I want to see your face this Christmas. I want to see the face of Jesus. And how can I do that? Those are the two nice questions to answer. I guess the commitment and the question. I want to see the face of Jesus this Christmas. How can I do that? And how can I, in doing that, share that gift of seeing Jesus with my family, with my friends? And that's a great challenge. Because we know Jesus says to us, go your way, your faith has saved you. And the blind man follows Jesus. That's his way now. What a great way that is, isn't it? And we did the little imagery of you walking in the crowd. Wouldn't it be neat if you were there?